What's up, friends? Welcome back to another edition of Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright, Elijah Schmidt with you today, talking Kansas women here on the opening segment.
Yes.
The KU women, huge victory. Tough situation where they lost a couple in Fort Myers at a multi-team event to Georgia and Dayton. Then they had to go on the road to face a Big Ten team. Got down 16-6, came back and won 74-62. We're talking Kansas women's basketball here in the opening segment. And then a very special conversation after that with our Dan Courtwright and the voice of the Kansas Jayhawks, Brian Hanni. Give us a little preview of that chatter.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about KU UConn, the upcoming Mizzou game on Sunday at the T-Mobile Center, and a lot of football talk involved as we sort of wrap up football season, and what should have been an exciting football season wound up being a little bit disappointing. So we'll get Brian Hanni's thoughts on that.
Yeah, put a bow on it. Would you say?
Put a bow on it.
Put a bow on it.
Put a
There you
bow
go.
on it.
Yeah, we're going to hear an extended conversation with Brian Hanni after this. Following that, we are talking more detail. KU football signing day. Really exciting hearing from Coach Leipold yesterday. Not sure when we'll hear from him again. Of course, probably a couple months, but exciting. So many newcomers to the 2026 Kansas class, including a bunch of players that are homegrown from the state of Kansas. And we're going to hear that Coach Leipold after we discuss it. So Coach Leipold, 20 minutes you'll get after the discussion of Kansas football signing day. Then we're going to hear from a Jayhawk that unfortunately now is a former Jayhawk, running back Daniel Hishaw, who had one of his best games at KU in the finale against Utah. He always is great with the media. I know that my co-host on the Jayhawk Radio Network, David Lawrence, was really close with Daniel Hishaw during his time here at Kansas, and he spoke to the media after a crushing loss, but did so in a way that only Daniel Hishaw does, which is with great personality and certainly a lot of class. And then to close out the show, we're talking KU Volleyball. Big one tonight, KU and High Point in the first round of the NCAA tournament, right around 6:30. It's going to follow Miami and Tulsa, so the 6:30 start time is not exactly set in stone. Of course, they need to give the players a chance to warm up after the finale of Miami and Tulsa. But 4-seed KU taking on the Panthers, and then they'll get the winner of the Hurricanes and the Golden Hurricane, which I didn't realize until I just said right now. It's the Hurricanes against the Golden Hurricane in the other matchup. How about that?
Look at that.
Jayhawks, Panthers, Hurricanes, Golden Hurricane.
Two mascots I cannot beat in a fight.
No, you can't. Yeah. Remember the
how much does a Golden Hurricane weigh?
Yeah, a lot, I would think.
A lot.
I remember the 2022, of course, run to the national championship for KU men's basketball. One of the teams they beat was Miami in the Elite Eight. That was a game where Kansas had the best second half performance I think I've ever seen. Yeah. Outscored the Hurricanes 47-15 in the second half, totally dominated them and ran them out of the United Center after a really sketchy first half where it was the pressure on the 1 seed, KU, and not so much on the double-digit seed in Miami. But I bring that up because the Sweet 16 matchup that Miami won to face KU was against Iowa State. So it was the Hurricanes against the Cyclones.
Man.
How about that? It was windy in the windy city. I know that Hanni is...
Cyclone's no, I guess it's just a tornado, right?
Yeah, Hanni was really proud. He had a tweet back then when it happened because we were in the windy city and it was the Hurricanes against the Cyclones. And I remember being pleased when Miami won, because I just don't like facing Big 12 teams in the NCAA tournament. It doesn't happen very often, but it's just there's too much familiarity there. And then I was regretting that in the first half, but KU went out and dominated Miami in the second half. Anyway, all that to say, the Hurricanes and the Golden Hurricane will do battle ahead of the Jayhawks and the Panthers at Horse Family Volleyball Arena tonight. 4 o'clock is Miami and Tulsa, and then KU High Point is shortly after that. Kansas women's basketball, though, let's get into it. 74-62. Dan, KU still without Jalea Davis, but getting down 16-6. What a performance to come back. And some of the names that we're used to seeing really delivered.
Yeah, 100%, right? Reagan Williams, we've continued to see her be able to step up in place of Jalea Davis. We knew Reagan was capable of doing this, right? Obviously, we saw her get thrown to the Wolves last year. She had a career high 22 points in this game, 9 rebounds. She came up incredibly clutch. 37 minutes in this game as well, over 37 minutes. So really impressive by Reagan Williams to be out there. And, it obviously doesn't get done without your point guard. guard, Samaya Nichols. Samaya Nichols had 14 points, 4-4 from the free throw line, 5 for 10 from the field, 13 assists between Laya Canessa and Samaya Nichols. So the offensive movement was really good out of the two primary ball handlers in Laya and Samaya. So you really love to see that. This is Kansas's first win on the road against a Big Ten team since 2010 in a 93-86 overtime win at Wisconsin back in November 21st of 2010. So 6 straight defeats on the road against Big Ten teams. Kansas did wind up defeating Minnesota at home, but on the road against Big Ten teams, Kansas has really not had a good stretch there for quite a while. So this is a huge win. Obviously, Northwestern, they're not a premier Big Ten team, but they're still a Big Ten team, and it's still an impressive win, especially when you're out Jalea Davis, who is by far and away the best player on the squad in terms of talent, in terms of height, in terms of athleticism, right? You have Samaya Nichols, who's really good at facilitating the ball, shooting the ball, getting to the free throw line. But Jalea Davis, to me, I think has the potential to really be one of the great Kansas women's basketball players in history, right? Not even just in the last 10, 15 years. We're talking all time with Jalea Davis because she is that good. 5-star All-American out of high school coming to Kansas. Hopefully she gets healthy. Hopefully she's battling through whatever lower leg injury she's been dealing with and she gets healthy for Big 12 play because that's when you really need it. And Kansas, like you said, they lost a couple out in Fort Myers. Very unfortunate. But I still have a lot of faith in this program, and I still have a lot of faith in these girls, right? We talk a lot about the depth pieces that we have with the Lily Meister down low, right? You have, Elle Evans outside. She had 15 points. She went 3 for 4 from the 3-point line.
All
right?
3 in the second half. Huge.
All 3 in the second half. I mean, that's just incredible to see out of somebody like that. So, you have leaders on the squad who have been here for quite a while, and you have freshmen who are very, very talented. Libby Fandel did not have a good game, right, on the offensive side or the defensive side of the ball, but you had other people being able to step up as well. We're continuing to see Libby Fandel get some playing time, gain that confidence. Same with Keely Parks, right? Keely Parks, she played a great game, probably the best game of her career so far. She had 9 points, 2 for 4 from the 3-point line, 3 for 5 from the field, right? We saw Libby Fandel kind of eclipsing Keely Parks in terms of playing time, in terms of productivity. And then all of a sudden, Libby Fandel didn't have a good game. Keely Parks was able to step up, which is really good to see.
Yeah, Keely Parks in just 18 minutes with 9 points, hit a couple big threes. Mentioned Evans with the 3 second half threes. KU in this one, like I said, down. It wasn't just 16-6. It was 16-6 at the end of the first quarter. I mean, they had nothing going. They were able to trim the deficit to 4 at half, and then a 26-13 third quarter was the difference. You mentioned Meister, 11 rebounds. That's the type of production that they need, certainly without Davis as well. And then career night for Reagan Williams, 22 points. She got off 20 shots, 11 of 20, and had those 9 rebounds as well. Samaya Nichols, which we didn't mention this, interesting 2 days for her in Fort Myers.
Yeah.
She hung 40 in the first and then single digits in the next. So 40 points in a losing effort, if you want to call it that, for Kansas when they lost to Georgia in Fort Myers. And then KU also lost to Dayton by 1. That was a heartbreaker. Samaya wasn't able to get anything going offensively, but 14.7 assists in this one for KU's All-American candidate. And you mentioned Parks contributing as well. So that's big. KU women now 7-2 this season, and going forward, it's a Zoe Canfield revenge game as they head to Springfield, do the Lady Jayhawks Sunday. It's 2 p.m., so that's going to be right after the Kansas men battle Mizzou at the T-Mobile Center. Make sure you're locked in to support the Kansas women. A lot going on right now, but a good start for the KU women. And again, if you don't have Jalea Davis, you don't really know what to expect. Honestly, you know that you're going to have good individual performances as we've had, but Reagan Williams is the story. She really stepped up. After the Missouri State game for KU, again, getting really close to conference play, which is something that happens earlier in women's basketball than it does in men's basketball in the Big 12, because you've got, like I said, Missouri State, then you've got Denver here at Allen Fieldhouse, then you've got Haskell here at Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
That'll be fun. Those games are Sunday the 14th and Wednesday the 17th, respectively. But then Big 12 play starts. So you're kind of past this feast week part where you're going out of town, and certainly that was a marquee victory against a quality Big 10 team in Northwestern. And now it's about, all right, we got to get completely ready for Big 12 play at Iowa State before you host West Virginia, and then you head to UCF.
Crooks has been on a ridiculous.
How long has she
run.
been in college?
A long time, and she is so dominant down low. It's unbelievable. I mean, you're seeing stat lines that I've never seen, even in men's games. Right? She's putting up for just ridiculous numbers. So, I mean, the girls down low with the Lilymeister and Reagan. Hopefully, you have Jalea back for that to be able to help on Audie Crooks. But the front court's going to have a lot to handle down low, especially up in Ames.
I'm sure that Jalea wants that challenge, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's as competitive as it gets, and hopefully that's the case. But wasn't able to go. But Kansas getting it done. Come from behind fashion. Nice win for the Kansas women. After this, Brian Hanni is going to join the show. Dan Courtwright had a special extended conversation with Brian Hanni a little bit earlier, and we'll have that for you after this on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com.
Welcome back into Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. Sean, you shaved and your voice got deeper and you completely changed clothes. What happened there?
I know, right? And no kids all of a sudden.
Right. Yeah.
Even though he has like 1.9 kids.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just the due date, I believe, was yesterday. So he's patiently waiting. We'll see. So
that's not why he's not here.
No,
right now.
no, it's not why he's not here. He's just he's away on a call right now. But I'm joined by the voice of the Jayhawks, Brian Hanni. Brian, I appreciate you coming into the studio today. A lot to get to, right? Let's start off with the most recent with KU basketball losing to UConn on Tuesday. A battle of blue bloods, right? It was kind of everything we wanted it to be. No Darren Peterson, though. UConn didn't have Terrace Reed. Kind of walk us through your thought process of that game, because in the first half, Kansas looked excellent. Their game plan was great. They were getting in those passing lanes. They completely shut down Alex Caravan. All of a sudden, second half came around. Maybe fatigue got to them, and they got out rebounded by 15. Yeah. Just your general thoughts on the game.
Yeah, you go from +9 in the first half on the glass to -15 in the second half, and UConn wins second chance points 14-5. In a 2-possession game, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And in a game where we had a ton of second half misses offensively, to not be able to get second and third opportunities like UConn was getting on the other end was absolutely huge. That was the thing, I think, as the play-by-play guy, when you're seeing the offense labor as much as they did at home in the second half, going to that north end. We're just not used to seeing that, right?
Right.
And forever in the field house, where Bill Self has almost a 95% home court winning percentage, that would be one of those games where you just assume we're going to find a way.
Yeah.
And yet, the deeper we got into the second half and the more Greg Gurley and I watched that offense labor to score, the more off the air during commercial breaks, we kind of looked at each other and thought, I don't know if we will pull this one out tonight. You know, and that's never the sentiment, because that building, a Hall of Fame head coach, no matter who the faces are that change year in, year out, you usually always find a way.
Yeah.
But you could tell
they almost did too. They brought it in within one a couple of times
and had multiple trips down the floor after you cut it to one to take the lead. But so often is the case in college basketball or basketball at any level, when you claw and scratch and fight so hard to get to the doorstep of taking lead and you don't, many times once that next momentum swings back, you missed your chance.
Yeah.
And clearly KU did. But watching Melvin Council step up and deliver a couple of big plays when he had been laboring. I mean, he opened 2 of 9. And, at one point we even said, man, this isn't working tonight. He's trying so hard. He plays so frenetically paced and fast, and he's playing with his hair on fire, and you love it. But many times he was coming up empty, and they weren't seeing that other offensive option emerge. It took 15 minutes almost to get Flory Bidunga a second half field goal.
Right.
So they weren't able to play through their bigs like so often they are. But once again, UConn, big front court. I know that wasn't Donovan Clingan in there, but Ryba sure looked like him to me. And I felt like, Kansas with Trey White only getting 3 official shot attempts. And yes, he scored from the free throw line, but he wasn't the offensive focal point he had been for much of the Darren Peterson absence. So really it's been 3 halves now without Trey White being that guy for you. And while they found other guys to step up and emerge in the second half versus Tennessee without White when he had the foul trouble, you didn't see as much of that obviously on Tuesday night in the second half. So I'll look back on this 7-game absence of Peterson, if that's all it proves to be, and say, wow, we really did get a lot better at so many key spots. And maybe it was a silver lining and a good thing for us big picture. But I'll also look back, particularly at the second half of the UConn game, as a reminder that no matter how many strides we've made and how far individuals like McDowell and Jackson and Council and White have all come during this 3.5-week stretch, we're not going to be a Final Four team without DP.
Right.
They looked the part in Vegas, yes, but that's only sustainable for so far until you realize, okay, we just got held to 35% shooting in our own house, which almost never happens. And the second half numbers were obviously way lower than that. You bring back, though, not just a nice piece on the periphery, not just a guy that'll bridge the gap between a 5-point loss and a 10-point win. You're bringing back what Greg Gurley called the most prolific scorer in America, potentially. So to me, a lot of those offensive woes, once Darren returns, and we hope it's Sunday, are shored up immediately. But that doesn't account for minus 15 on the glass. Darren isn't going to, bridge that gap for you necessarily. And so there were definitely some things that KU missed opportunities with. But I thought they fought hard. They defended well. Mullins was a way bigger spark than what any of us accounted for coming in. And yes, he was a 5-star top 15 guy. So we were certainly aware that was in there, but he hadn't done it yet. And he ended up in stretches looking like the best player on the floor. We're about to get our best player on the floor back very soon. We'll find out tomorrow from Bill Self, the latest update. But, I'm really hopeful that Sunday's the day for DP, and that's a world of difference it's going to make.
Yeah. I mean, it is a little weird to look at a home loss by 6 points or 5 points or whatever it was, as kind of a moral victory in a sense, because UConn is a really good team and Braylon Mullins showed up big time for them. Kansas had a couple of other guys show up for them. I wanted to single one guy out in particular, Elmarko Jackson, for 2 games in a row, double-digit scores. What have you seen out of his growth and his confidence? Because early in the year, before the season, I was like, Elmarko's my guy. Like, he's going to be the starter. He's going to be, getting 12, 15 points a game, hitting all these threes. It wasn't there. All of a sudden, the last 2 games, he's completely emerged kind of out of nowhere because he's had to, right? What have you seen out of him, his growth, his confidence level since he's been able to step up?
I was with you, and I remember saying to David Lawrence when we were in Chapel Hill and I was doing post-game with him on the Jayhawk Network, hey, man, give it time. I'm bullish on Elmarko to be an 8 or 9 point per game type guy this season where you get that spark, you see that burst. He's got such an explosive first step. He can get to the rim and finish. We've seen the last couple of games, he can also hit some outside shots for you at times. What's the biggest difference? Confidence, but not just in the form of having confidence to take the shot, having confidence to just get it and go. There was a great coaching moment during the Tuesday morning shoot around. And again, for those that hear the term shoot around on a game day practice, they're not just shooting around. It's just a condensed version of a real practice where they're going over scouting report. They're doing a lot of the stuff to put in their own offensive sets. They call it shoot around, but it's a shorter, less taxing version of a game day practice. And there was a moment in that where Coach stopped Elmarko after one of the plays they'd run, and he said, hey, man, just go. Get it and just go. Let it fly. Whether it let it fly like shoot the shot or let it rip, take off and drive it, there was just a momentary hesitation with him. And I think Elmarko, when he's not all he can be, sometimes is thinking too much. When he is all he can be, he lets it fly and lets it go. Turn it loose. Let's go. Because his best advantage is that elite level athleticism and explosive first step. If your mind gets in the way and there's even a half Mississippi of hesitation, you lose that. But if you just go, that's an Elmarko that can be that guy that gives you, 8, 9 points a game, that can hit a 3 in a key stretch for you, or get a rip and run where you turn defense into offense quicker than you can say rock chalk because he's so explosive off the bounce. That's a guy that I think really will mix in, and we're going to see a key contributor more games than not out of him because of the emergence these last couple of games. And I'll tell you what, we've seen that twice now in the absence of Darren Peterson, where a guy was, I don't want to say abysmal, but had a really rough first half and then completely turned it around in the second half. It was Melvin Council versus Duke in the Garden, one half to the next. I think he went 1 of 8, and then he goes 5 of 7 in the second half, and so much confidence gained. And he just kept his head down and kept driving. Elmarko Jackson did it first half to second half versus Tennessee, and it spilled over into the UConn game. And how about that? First time in his KU career, he's had back-to-back double-digit scoring games, and it wasn't against some directional school or Alvamar Tech, as Roy Williams used to say. It was against Tennessee and UConn. So really happy for that young man. And if I can say it really quickly, I'm really happy for Jamari McDowell, too.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, who would have thought a month ago that you're drawing up the potential game-tying play for Jamari McDowell?
Yeah.
And part of that is obviously, where we were at personnel-wise, but it also speaks to the amazing strides he's made really in the last couple of weeks. The 3 games out in Vegas, the UConn game, he's now started 3 in a row for KU. His confidence is on the climb, and the coaching staff's confidence in his ability to step up, take, and make the big shot certainly has improved leaps and bounds these last few weeks.
Yeah. KU 6-3 right now. They're going to be taking on Mizzou at the T-Mobile Center this Sunday. Brian, I wanted to talk to you about this game. Not go too far into depth. We'll do that probably tomorrow on the show. I'm sure you've done some game prep with that as well. But
yeah,
for a guy who's been around as long as I'm not calling you old. I'm just saying for a guy who's been around as long for, watching this KU Mizzou rivalry, a lot of the students don't really understand it. They got a taste of it in football. They've gotten a taste of it in basketball the last couple of years. But just talk about how big this game is, especially at a neutral site, kind of halfway between the two schools, and just talk to me about how important this game is for Kansas to get back on the right track.
Man, it's huge. It's a game that if you get the win, it's not a signature win, but it means more than it would most years over Mizzou, because until Tuesday night, they were undefeated.
Yeah.
Coach Gates has done a great job. And I think when they beat us a year ago, it was a really validating win for them and a springboard for him that, hey, we're getting this thing figured out. And look at the recruiting success they've had since then. Not just because of that game, but that was a line in the sand moment for their program. It won't be that for Kansas, obviously. But if we win this game, it carries more weight than it would have a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I like their team. Mark Mitchell in his second year with Mizzou, he's a KC kid from Bishop Miege, former Duke Blue Devil. That was a key get early in the Gates era to get him to come in. Obviously, Sean Phillips is a guy that we saw at Arizona State, 7-foot center. They lost 2 centers in the portal. The Quainest kid went to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Mizzou got Phillips, and they both go to the SEC. But he's been a nice piece. Their second and third best scorers actually come off the bench. Jacob Cruz is a guy you saw a year ago in a much lesser role. I think he was about a 5-point-per-game guy in his first season coming in from UT Martin. But also Jaden Stone, another nice spark off the bench. So they've got good personnel. They've got length, athleticism. The kid that at times gave us fits a year ago, and he went on to be an all-SEC first-team defender, is Anthony Robinson. And he was the Florida State transfer that heated up our guards a lot last year in Columbia. He's back as well. So good test. Should be a great environment. I remember the hurricane relief game we did. I want to say it was 2017. It was when Billy Preston was on the floor for us briefly. And that
Kansas legend. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He was on that day.
Yeah.
That was some kind of atmosphere. 18,000 at the time. It was the Sprint Center, not T-Mobile. And it was probably 9,000 in black and gold, 9,000 in crimson and blue. Yeah. And I remember we were sitting on the floor, and Dana Anderson, legendary Kansas supporter, he's sitting to our left in courtside seats. And it was such a passionate rivalry, even in an exhibition game that technically doesn't count on the official ledger all time. But we wanted it so stinking bad because we hadn't played them in a while. And yeah, the game was for charity. But I remember Dana standing up and getting the crowd going during some runs. And here's this guy that, bleeds crimson and blue as much as anybody. And he wanted that so stinking bad. And it was one of our most impassioned calls that year. And we wound up going to the Final Four.
Yeah.
But that just speaks to, for the young bucks watching this show and listening to it that don't understand the passion and the venom and the heated nature of this rivalry, how bad we want it when KU plays Mizzou. We didn't get him over there in football. Let's get him on the state line in basketball this year at T-Mobile. And by the way, get your tickets. I think there's still a good amount available.
Yeah. KUathletics.com/tickets, I believe.
That shouldn't be the case for this game.
No.
They're 8-1. Yeah, we're 6-3, but we're ranked in the top 25. 2 good teams, one awesome rivalry that I think is a top 5 rivalry in college sports. Let's make sure we sell this thing out. If you're worried about the Chiefs, this game will be over, and Sean Kellerman will be driving home post-game with still 4 hours to go before the Chiefs even kick it off.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So go get your tickets, KUathletics.com/tickets. Should be a big yeah, just an absolutely huge game, right? They got our number last year. It's going to be neutral site, halfway essentially, well, a little bit closer to us, I think, than them,
Yeah.
but still, it should be a lot of fun. Great atmosphere. Always is. Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, joins the show here in studio. Brian, got to flip it over to football. We got to put a bow on it. They always make fun of me for saying put a bow on it. I don't know if you want to put a bow on it or duct tape or whatever you may want to. But first, I guess, talk about the Utah game. We'll go farther into kind of the season as a whole, but the Utah game, Kansas executed their game plan perfectly by running the ball. Daniel Hishaw, Leisha Williams looked incredible. I thought the defense did a really good job of containing Devin Dampier. A couple of red zone, not even just a couple, 3 red zone picks by Jalen Daniels, unfortunately, cost us the game. Your thoughts on the Utah game in general?
I'm trying to decide if it hurts more than the K-State game. And it probably does, just because this would have been a bowl clincher. This would have been the signature win. I, for a while, didn't think anything would hurt more than the K-State loss, because we felt like this was the year
Yeah.
for so many reasons. And then it just wasn't close. And that one I thought would be the biggest stinger. This one's right there with it. And it falls in the category of one of 3 games. So I don't include Mizzou. Even though we led in the fourth quarter in Columbia, they outplayed us that day and deserved to win. But this one falls in the category of Arizona out in Tucson, Cincinnati at home, and now Utah, where you had it right there in the clinches. I mean, in the case of Cincinnati and Arizona, you literally had interceptions in your hands that they couldn't complete the process and complete the pick. If you pick them late on the flash drive versus the Bearcats, or a number of potential interceptions, whether it was Taylor Davis, Saeed Gibbs, or the one that called back on a penalty by Leroy Harris, you beat Arizona, and we're talking about bowl eligibility. This one's in that category, but for different reasons, for the reasons you just mentioned. 3 interceptions deep in Utah territory, 2 of which in the end zone. What had a chance to be a legacy game for Jalen Daniels to get that signature win that he'd had in every one of his other seasons where he played a significant amount of time. It's just the opposite. Unfortunately, probably his worst game in his last game, and his senior season is devoid of the signature win. And his career is void of a bowl victory for him. Now, he was on the team that won the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, but that was Jason Bean that threw for 6 touchdowns. And so that's a glaring omission in an otherwise well-decorated career, where he finishes second to Todd Reesing in so many statistical categories. But now, in terms of the lineage of Kansas quarterbacks all time, where do you put him without a bowl victory? And with the last 2 seasons, he proved he could stay healthy for the full year. And that was the biggest question mark on him heading into 24. And he just gave us back-to-back 12-game seasons.
Yeah.
But sadly, neither season ended in the postseason. And if you look back on all the fourth quarter leads that Kansas had the last couple of years, and some defeat stolen from the jaws of victory, I think we'll look back and wonder what if on so many of these 9 or 10 games where, you go back and think, man, we had it. And I'm talking about last season and this season.
100%.
And so that's unfortunate, because it leaves off some chapters in what could have been, a truly historic legacy for Jalen Daniels. Still one of the greats to play here, still, top 8 all-time quarterback at Kansas. But without that, and seeing a season that I think we all felt like, with everything he poured into it starting January 1, to make this going out on the highest of high notes, to finish 3 or 4 wins shy of where we thought this team could be. I feel for him. I feel for the other 32 seniors. I really feel for them, because you were in position to extend that season by 1 more month. And yeah, it would not have been the postseason bowl slot that they thought they were signing up for back in July, but it would have been, for so many of these guys, a great way to go out, a chance to finish with a ring, a chance to, show that your class went to 3 bowl games in a 4-year stretch. And the fact that they're robbed of that breaks my heart.
Yeah. Heartbreaking, I think, is a very good word to describe it, right? I mean, it sucks. And Jalen Daniels, his legacy is complicated, right? And he's the one who brought us from the depths of, that long extended period where Kansas was the worst team in all of FBS, or at least in Power 4, right? And so 2 things can be true: is, yeah, he did that, right? He was the arguably the biggest, if not, one of the biggest parts of the rebuild. But also, like you said, you look at the missed opportunities, right? You look at UNLV last year. You look at a number of those games. West Virginia last year. Cincinnati, Arizona, Utah. For this year, it's just there's a lot of missed opportunities where Kansas could have capitalized and they just weren't able to do it. Just a word on the expectations, I guess, that you had set for this Kansas program back in July. Like
Yeah.
you said, when you were already writing them in, you're clearing your December schedule, for wherever they're going to go to the bowl game. What were your expectations, and how do you think Kansas might have lived up to it or didn't live up to it whatsoever?
Well, every show I went on, July and August leading up to the season, I said 8-4, and it's easy to see a path to 8-4, even looking back at a 5-7 disappointing season because of what I just mentioned with victory so close versus Cincinnati,
Yeah.
Arizona, and obviously the most recent game with Utah. But, every team can look back on their schedule and say, oh, there's 2 or 3 we should have had. In this case, though, I'm talking about literally the ball's in your hands and they couldn't quite secure it. So to me, the disappointing thing is for 2 seasons now, we've had some final 2 minutes or final 3 or 4 minute leads lost, victories stolen away, and finding a way to close it out is going to be of paramount importance going forward because it's not just one thing. You could point this last game to the end zone interceptions, obviously, but there were previous losses of what is 9 or 10 fourth quarter leads the last 2 years where there was a late drive where the defense got picked apart and was out of position and they go down and score on you, right? So to me, if you look at it from a positive standpoint, our roster construct, the amount of resources poured into this to be a major player in the portal. They're crushing it in high school recruiting. Your player development has been strong for so many tangible sites, not even including the stadium and the strength facilities, strength and conditioning facilities, the KU football only kitchen with Chef Mike. All that stuff's in a separate category and a huge positive takeaway from this season that I'll circle back to in a second. Just looking at the personnel, though, we are so much better than we were 5 years ago when Lance got here, and we're
100%.
so much ready to be a bowl team year in and year out. You could argue at a lot of spots we're deeper and more physically impressive than our bowl teams were. But for whatever reason, these last 2 seasons, in crunch time at game point, we let a lot of victories slip away and we're forced to wonder what might have been. Unfortunately, there's a good number of players in this program that won't have an answer or a cure for that because their days are done. And what hurt the most last Friday was of those 33 seniors, 95% of them will never play a down of football again.
Yeah.
And they were robbed that opportunity as I bang my ring on the table, darn it, to get that ring and to go to a bowl game. And that makes me so disheartened for them because I know how much they poured into it. But from a 20,000 foot view of this thing, I mean, we're in great position comparatively in terms of the talent, the type of athlete we're now getting into the living room with and getting into the conversation with in the portal because of the resources we have to work with and the coaches we have recruiting them. And so I have every bit of expectation that we will be right back in the bowl picture again next year. But obviously, you got to find a way to play all 4 quarters and close out some of these games you're in position to win. But we are leaps and bounds better personnel wise. And yeah, it's a lot of shoes to fill. Going to obviously see who the next quarterback is. And that'll be a big topic for the next 10 months or so. But to me, I'm proud of that. And I will leave you with this. It's still a season of progress when it comes to Kansas football, because even though you don't want to hear this, when you have a new stadium for the first time in 102 years, and when you have some of the resources that this program has that aren't just the best we've ever had, they compare favorably with everybody else in the Big 12 conference. That happened this year. You can't take that away from us. And I get it, KU fans. Ultimately, your success is defined on the win and loss column, and we came up well short of where we thought we'd be this year. But it was still a year of taking 2 steps forward in the overall build of football as a priority at Kansas. And that starts at the top with the chancellor and the AD, and it funnels all the way down. The onus is on us next year, though, to make sure in the most obvious definition of a successful season, we get the job done with more wins. And I think Kansas will. But yeah, it's still a step forward when you look at all the building blocks around this thing, literally. The brick and mortar that was put up this year. Now we got to find a way to close out more wins in 26.
Kansas finishes the season 5-7. A lot of work to be done in this offseason. Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, on the show. Really appreciate you coming on, man. You can hear his voice actually on Sports Radio 810 WHB on Sunday as KU takes on Mizzou at the T-Mobile Center. Get your tickets at kuathletics.com/tickets. Brian, thanks so much for joining the show.
Thank you. Congrats to Sean and Caitlin. Prematurely, it hasn't happened yet.
Right.
Ava's going to be a big sister here in a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not why he's not here right now, but I don't know that we will hear him on the post-game show on Sunday. Who knows?
It'll be close.
Maybe something goes down. But I'm thinking about them. I'm so happy for them, and always great to be with you, Daniel.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. After this, we're going to be talking KU football signing day. Going to be breaking down all of the guys who are going to be joining the Kansas football roster in the class of 2026. Right after this on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, and ESPN Kansas City.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. Big day yesterday for Kansas football. We heard from head coach Lance Leipold, and we're going to hear from him a little bit later in the show. But National Signing Day 2026, newcomers for KU football. Of course, we've been aware of a lot of these guys, but haven't, well, I guess we've been able to talk about them. KU Athletics officially has not been able to talk about them. Coach Leipold, of course, has not been able to talk about them. But it always feels good when it's official, right? They can go on social media, but in today's day and age, a lot of times these guys will back out. Well, they're putting pen to paper here, and they are announcing formally their commitment to come to KU. We ran through them a little bit yesterday, Dan, but kind of go through these guys and certainly who we should be most excited about for 2026 and beyond.
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing is like you said, Kansas was able to keep a lot of these guys, and they got them early. Right. I mean, you were hearing about guys committing, back before even the spring semester was over. Right. So we're talking. We've been talking about these guys for quite a while. This class of 26 is really shaping up to be something special. And yeah, I'll kind of, roll you through some of the guys who are going to be additions to this Kansas squad for next year. Some guys you might even hear their name next year, right? I mean, we saw at least one freshman from this past class who was able to come in and make an impact. Obviously Tate Nagy was one of them, and a number of different guys that you might see here and there. But I'll go ahead and start off with Naquane Carter. Naquane Carter, he is coming out of Southmore High School in Oklahoma City. He's 6'1", 270 pounds. Watched a little bit of film on him. He's explosive in the middle, and he is a hard hitter. He's going to be a lot of fun at that D tackle position. Like I said, already 270 pounds, going to be able to add a little bit more weight on him, and that's something that we've talked about in terms of the D tackle group. You're losing a lot of guys. You're losing Keenan Caldwell. You're losing, Tommy Dunn, DJ Withers, a lot of guys down low. You need to really beef that up. Now, is Naquane Carter going to be a starter right away? I certainly hope so, right? You don't anticipate that. You probably need to get another veteran guy, maybe in the middle to kind of be the leader of that room. But you still have guys coming back, right? Blake Harold, I believe, is going to be back. You also have Marcus Calvin, who we saw flashes of down sort of in the middle in those trenches. But Naquane Carter is going to be an excellent piece to this. So
I wouldn't
really
be
explosive.
surprised if Kansas goes to the portal somewhat heavily on D tackle, only because look what Texas Tech did.
Right.
I think that they've kind of set the precedent on that in terms of they went and they spent some money on some bad dudes up front, and they're number 4 right now in the college football playoff rankings. But you mentioned the two guys, like I said, who are kind of next up for KU in terms of Blake Harold and Marcus Calvin. So hopefully they make big strides again this offseason. Harold was one of Kansas' best defensive players as a redshirt sophomore. So
absolutely.
We'll see. But yeah, Naquane Carter on the interior defensive line. Who next would you like to highlight?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and highlight the two tight ends in this room as well. Kevin Sullivan coming out of Rockhurst, the Hawklets.
Rock State.
Yeah, shout out to Rockhurst and Jack Oots coming out of Platte City. He's from Kansas City, Missouri.
And those two teams just had a battle now. They did, and Platte County came out on top. But two tight ends. It's kind of rare, especially because these guys seem like they're both going to be contributors. And we're going to hear from Coach Leipold speak of these two guys. It's kind of rare that maybe two guys would both want to come at the same time, but maybe even more rare is the fact that a coaching staff is welcoming to
Right.
two. And Coach Leipold's going to talk about their athleticism, what they can bring.
Yeah, and I think when you look at these two guys, it's interesting because their measurables are relatively close. Kevin Sullivan's 6'6", 220. Jack Oots is 6'5", 225. So Oots is a little bit, wider, and I think Oots is a solid pass catcher. I think he's going to be a threat, one of those kind of Mason Fairchild type guys who can high point a ball. Kevin Sullivan on the other end of it has a different set of skill sets where he's an excellent perimeter blocker. You saw him in his film, right? He had one catch in those highlights. The rest of it was him blocking, which I love to see out of a tight end, right? A guy who's fitting up not only defensive tackles, but corners and rolled down safeties on these smoke screen passes. And I used to have an old coach tell me that perimeter blocking shows how much you care about your team.
You told me that before, and that's
Yeah.
always stuck with me.
Yeah, it really does, right? It's like, okay, well, yeah, if you perimeter blocking is such an important part that not a lot of people really, talk about, and I absolutely love that to see out of Kevin Sullivan. So Kevin Sullivan is going to be a nice piece in the blocking game. I think Jack Oots might be a little bit better of a pass catcher. He's a little bit quicker on the run, so that'll be really exciting to see those two tight ends grow in this program. Up next, I want to talk about a couple of offensive tackles, if you will. Malachi Mills and Caden Snyder. Both of these guys are coming in. Caden Snyder is a 4-star coming out of Salina. The kid is just an absolute monster and a brick wall.
Already 290.
Already 290. I mean, it's impossible to explain how good this kid is. And, you're losing some guys on the offensive line, right? I believe Enrique Cruz is a senior, so you're going to need somebody on that right side. Now, Caden Snyder was playing left tackle, but it doesn't mean he can't transfer over to right tackle because we're going to need somebody bad. So either Kansas goes out of the portal and they find somebody, or Caden Snyder is going to be making an impact right away. Malachi Mills, by the way, he's an absolute monster. Let's see, where does his measurables? He's 6'5", 301. The kid is only going to get bigger too, and you're watching him just pancake guys and get fitted up. He's got really good hands and a good first punch, which you like to see out of an offensive tackle, right? Sometimes a lot of those big guys, they don't really know what to do. They like to grab like this. Malachi Mills is really good at fitting guys up, has a really solid punch, and good at standing up those not blitzing, but pressure receiving defensive ends, which I absolutely love to see. Joseph Credit, he is a linebacker coming in for Kansas. Really quick first step and really good in coverage. You look at a linebacker that we had this year in Bengali Kamara, who, by the way, first, I don't know, 5 games of the season, I would have said he was the defensive MVP.
Yeah.
Right? He was incredible, but you look at his coverage stats, not good, right? He was not great in coverage. He was really good in the run fits, really good at applying pressure. But in terms of coverage, he gave up a lot of catches. I believe in his first 13 coverage attempts, he gave up 12 catches, which you can't have that. Joseph Credit, in the film that I watched of him, really, really good in coverage. Needs a little bit of size, right? Which that's what's going to be a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys are going to need to bulk up and get a lot of meat on their bones. That's why you come in early, and that's why you spend the entire summer lifting and taking care of your body. And Coach Gildersleeve has done such an excellent job. We've seen body transformations left and right from different guys. You talk about Daniel Hishaw, you talk about Dean Miller, like some of these guys who you're like, man, they need to do something to change their body. And Coach Gildersleeve has gotten his hands on them and sort of molded them into what he wants them to be. So I think Joseph Credit's going to be a nice piece for this linebacker room as well, especially in the future. But again, the thing that sticks out to me is his quick speed and his coverage. I think is really the most impressive part of it. Flipping over to the offensive side of the ball, you got Tyron Parker.
Speaking.
Yeah, shout out Shawnee Heights. Ridiculous speed. This kid is the Emmanuel Henderson type of wide receiver, right? We talk about wide receivers a little differently, right? You talk about Cam Pickett as a possession guy, like Luke Grimm, some of those guys who can get those 3 to 5 yarders where they're really good at route running and kind of breaking. Tyron Parker has got incredible speed. This is the kind of guy who's going to break some game-breaking plays. He's a deep ball threat. He's going to be a lot of fun. Don't be surprised when you see him out on the field next year. He's
Okay.
going to be exciting to watch. I'm surprised that he wasn't higher on a lot of people's radars. I don't know how Shawnee Heights did this year in football. I don't know if they, how far they went into the playoffs or whatever it may be. But again, Tyron Parker, he's the real deal. That to me is maybe the front runner besides Caden Snyder for a guy to be an impact player from this year's signing class.
Yeah, needless to say, K-State obviously recruited him. Oklahoma State, Iowa State as well. Parker,
Yeah.
the whiteout from Shawnee Heights.
Yeah. Back over to the defensive side of the ball, you got Drayden Punt. He's a defensive end.
Great name.
Drayden Punt. Could
Great
you
name.
imagine? Yeah. Which, by the way, I think Henry might have brought this up. Just like it's good that he plays on the defensive side of the ball because if he was like a quarterback with the last name Punt,
Yeah.
you don't.
There are some unfortunate sports figures who have
like Kale Pick.
Kale Pick was not great.
Very unfortunate.
Bob Walk, Grant Balfour. Yeah, I mean, not names that you want to have necessarily.
No, absolutely not. So it's good that he plays on the defensive side of the ball. I'm sure that's fine. But Drayden Punt is huge, right? He's very, very tall. Another quick first step. Another guy who can really apply pressure. Like I say, 6'7", 220 pounds. Another guy who's slender. Reminds me a lot body style, kind of like Dean Miller, where he comes in. Yeah, he's tall and he's got great moves. Being able to,
he's 6'7",
slice
right?
in. Yeah, he's 6'7". So being able to slide in on the inside of those defensive tackles is impressive. But again, you need to have a little bit of size on him. So I want to see Coach Gildersleeve really take his time in terms of developing him and his body into what it absolutely needs to be. Because that's going to be fun to kind of see how Drayden Punt, continues his progression throughout his Kansas career. It's going to be a lot of fun. Kansas has a lot of really good edge rushers right now. You talk about, Dak Brinkley, you talk about Leroy Harris, we've talked about this, priority number one to keep him at Kansas.
It is, and Punt is the guy that if you look at his measurables, extremely similar to Leroy already.
Yeah, right.
So Punt is a guy that you can expect to hear a lot from in the future because he's got that size, and if he has anywhere near the athleticism of Leroy, which we don't know, but if he's able to do that, then that could be huge, obviously, because like you said, that's such an important position in today's football.
For sure, yeah. And like I said, quick first step. Like the kid can get to the quarterback. He's long and lengthy. He can use those arms to move tackles out of the way. Still on the defensive side, you got local kid Lawrence High.
Stand up.
Josh Galbraith is a freak. This kid is unbelievable, right? I remember at the beginning of the year, we actually covered Lawrence High a little bit at our old job. Josh Galbraith was just listed as an athlete, right? He was playing like wide receiver / tight end / linebacker.
24/7 still has him listed as a athlete.
Yeah, so he's going to be coming into Kansas. He's going to be playing linebacker. This kid is unbelievable. He's a hard hitter, needs a little bit of meat on his bones once again, right? I mean, that's just another, Gildersleeve project where you really need to focus on the nutrition there because he's raw. He's athletic. He hits so hard, right? If you get him to look like Bengali Kamara with those arms, I think he's going to be Josh Galbraith has a ceiling of being a all Big 12 caliber player and potential, NFL draft pick. Like that's how high the ceiling is for Josh Galbraith. Is he there yet? I don't know, right? We know he's really, really good. Very exciting that he's able to stay home. Kim Fleury talked about Josh Galbraith, and he said, look, it is nothing short of a miracle that Kansas was able to get him, and B, nobody else was on him, right? And there were some other teams that were on him, right? You heard Texas A&M, Michigan, right? A lot of big boy names. This kid has the athletic ability to be a potential 4 or 5-star recruit, and he just wasn't there. I believe he's a 3-star right now. He might have got another star on some other outlets, but yeah, he's a really solid player.
And when you get players like this in Lawrence, in Topeka, in the state of Kansas, you got to get them. And that's all these guys we're going through, and we have a few more to get to. That is something that Coach Leipold, when he got here, set out to do. Because Kansas got waxed on this front by K-State for so many years. But now, I mean, I don't need the Deneen's. Like, we had some Deneen's go over to K-State.
Yeah,
Joe Deneen Jr. obviously came here to KU, but Lawrence, top priority, right?
Yeah.
It's home. Topeka, same deal. You're going to be battling with K-State for a lot of these kids. And that's the difference with this year's group and so many of these local kids is that they're actually coming to KU. And this is the first year that we've really seen it where it's been a dominant one-sided performance in favor of the Jayhawks.
Yeah, 100%, right? I mean, when Kansas has talent, there's no reason that the University of Kansas shouldn't be in on that talent, right? I think that we've seen too many guys over the last 15 years either go to K-State or go out of state, right? Kansas didn't really tap into that well. There's a lot of talent just around this area that I think Kansas can really hone in on. By the way, shout out to Eric Galbraith, Josh Galbraith's brother. I played with him back in Emporia
There you
State.
go.
Fun guy. Good artist too. Want to talk about Jalen Mason. He is a quarterback coming out of Wichita. Kevin Flaherty has been high on him, like very, very high on him. The kid has got an excellent touch on the ball, right? You see those deep shots and you go, that's a college quarterback throw out of Jalen Mason. Excellent pocket presence, right? You see him not panicking, being able to step up in the pocket and make those deep throws. Also a dual threat guy. The kid can do it on his legs. So that's going to be a really fun wrinkle. And we could potentially see Jalen Mason being a star at Kansas someday, playing that quarterback position. So that's a huge get for Kansas. Again, this is a guy that not a lot of people were super high on and kind of went on a little bit of an upward trajectory after a really solid summer and then a really good season over this senior year for Jalen Mason. So that was really exciting to see. Really excited for him. Nate Sims, he's a wide receiver out of Ottawa. He is fast, very fast, a great punt returner, great kick returner. Kid's got acceleration like I've never seen it before. Also great hands when he's covered heavy. So he could be a deep ball guy. I'm looking at Nate Sims kind of like a Luke Grimm kind of guy or Cam Pickett kind of guy, just a good possession receiver, because a lot of the film that I saw on him, heavily guarded and still was able to haul in those catches. So whenever he's in traffic, whenever he has some guy draped all over him, I think he's going to be able to make those catches. So Nate Sims is going to be an excellent key piece for this squad farther down the line. Caden Moody coming out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, offensive lineman, 300 pounds, 6'6", another monster that you're adding up front. That's a kid with an excellent punch. I think he's got a better punch out of the other guys that were getting in an offensive line, including Caden Snyder, who's a 4-star brick wall kind of guy. Malachi Mills, I already talked about, just a huge guy. Caden Moody, watching his film, seeing that punch and seeing him stick with these blocks, I really love to see that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And Kansas continues to kind of beef up that offensive line. Corbin Glasgow coming out of Geyer Denton. Shout out to the Fighting Jalen Wilsons.
Right? They really should change their nickname to that.
Shout out to Jordan Wallace. Actually knew a kid who went there too. He played at Iowa State and then played at Emporia State. So that's fun to see. Corbin Glasgow, though, freaky fast, right? Deep threat, excellent route runner. I mean, you're seeing this kid. He might be the best route runner in the class, right? You have Tyron Parker, you have Nate Sims. Two different skill sets. Corbin Glasgow is kind of like that perfect middle of, man, this guy can do it in the flats and he can beat you deep too, which is really fun to see. He was also listed as an athlete, I believe, last year. He played on kind of both sides of the ball, didn't really know where he was going to be able to fit. He's coming in as a wide receiver. He's going to be a lot of fun and a fun piece for the quarterback of the future to be able to play around with, is Corbin Glasgow. Hunter Higgins, another kid coming out of Maize South. He is a defensive end. He's got great size. I really like to see Hunter Higgins' size. He's 6'5", 254 pounds. So he's already got a little bit of weight to him. I want to see a little bit more. I want to see him get up to around 275-ish, 280, not lose that speed because he's fast coming off the outside. He's great at shedding blocks too, right? That's such a natural thing. It looks like just comes to him, being able to, punch through or use some kind of move to shed those blocks and get to the quarterback. So I'm really excited about Hunter Higgins. Hunter Higgins, by the way, has been an excellent spokesperson for a lot of the in-state recruits, being like, hey, why don't you come here?
Or we had a situation where JJ Dunnigan decided to pull back on his commitment and decided to go to the U, and Hunter Higgins was the first to go on social media and say, I'm just going to reaffirm my commitment to Kansas. So yeah, excited about him. And certainly when you talk about Higgins and Punt, the law firm, if you will, I mean, that's two really talented defensive ends that Kansas is getting. And also getting a really talented running back as well from the state of Michigan, Corey Amakri.
Corey Amakri, yeah, he's a #1 running back in Michigan right now, was previously committed to Michigan State. Kansas got him to flip to come to Michigan, or to come to Kansas, which is huge, right? You get a guy who's committed to an in-state school where he's from coming to Kansas. That's a huge flip. And I think this is going to be just added depth to this running back room. Really excited about him. He's a patient runner. He's got excellent balance. He can run through guys' faces and he can wait on holes. He reminds me just a little bit of Devin Neal, which is obviously gigantic shoes to fill, but he is so much fun to watch play running back. And speaking of Devin Neal, he's going to be great in the pass game as well, right? We saw some highlights of him lined up wide and running routes and getting out of breaks. So I'm really excited about Corey Amakri. That's a guy to keep an eye out for sure. And then the last one here, Rob Reddick. He's a cornerback. I'll say this. You have Austin Alexander, right? You have Jalen Todd. You have a number of different guys in that cornerback room. I think Rob Reddick is a guy that I can see being a part of this squad who plays right away. He could be quarterback. He could be cornerback one very soon, really quick coming out of breaks. And he's not afraid of contact either, which is really exciting to see, right? He's a hard hitter, nose to the ground, really just smothers guys and makes them suffocate, and really good hands too, right? You saw some catches where guys get an inside break on him. He's behind him. He's reaching around, punching that ball out. So really exciting to see out of Rob Reddick.
6'2" as well. Really good size for a corner. Yeah. And just kind of going back to what I was saying about Kansas football cleaning up in the 2026 class in terms of guys in the state of Kansas. KU has got the number 3 player in the state of Kansas coming in Caden Snyder, the number 6 player, Hunter Higgins, the number 7 player, and Josh Galbraith, the number 11, Nate Sims, number 13 is Tyron Parker, number 14 is Jalen Mason. So those are just some of the guys that we highlighted there in exciting 2026 class.
I have one more. I forgot to write him down on here. Trey Brown, cornerback coming out of Chatsworth, California. Another really, really solid corner.
We don't see a safety on there. Interested, mentioned the defensive tackle. I could see Kansas going to the portal just because, again, that's what Texas Tech did, and they've had so much success on that front, kind of utilizing their funds in that way. But also safety, Lyric Rawls potentially could come back for Kansas, and we don't really know after that. Mason Ellis is obviously a guy who's going to be coming back. The Dye brothers are both gone as well, and some other guys in the secondary as well. You're losing DJ Graham, but you will have Jalen Todd, Austin Alexander coming back in the secondary, and Saeed Gibbs as well. So interested to see where Kansas focuses on the portal. We mentioned Corey Amakri, the running back from Michigan, we're excited for. From a running back standpoint, Kansas is obviously losing Hishaw and Williams. We're still high on Harry Stewart. Saw him a little bit earlier in the year. Johnny Thompson Jr. will be a 4th-year player, and then you have a guy like Justin Thurman.
He's my guy.
Who I know
he's my guy
high on as well.
That's my like half court shot right now. Justin Thurman's going to be the starter week 1.
The Thurminator. Well, it's a little bit different in football, right? Because you just you don't play as quickly as you do in basketball as a freshman.
No, very true.
There's just so many guys, and there's such a development process. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas goes to the portal and finds a running back as well. Today's day and age, everything's on the table. But exciting stuff for KU football on 2026 signing day, which happened just yesterday. We're going to hear from head coach Lance Leipold to speak about all of these guys after this on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. We just broke down the Kansas football 2026 signing class. Let's hear everything Coach Leipold said yesterday.
When you came in, one of the things that you talked about was wanting to renew efforts in state, really make a mark locally, and you extended that to Kansas City as well. 6 guys from Kansas, 2 from Kansas City. What was it about this class that allowed you guys to fare so well locally?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things in there. I appreciate you bringing that up right away. It's something that, I think when you come into a situation or you talk about it, you say things that you hope that can happen, and you try to make things that I think sometimes, taking over rebuilding programs sometimes, I've said this before, is when you walk into your backyard, so to speak, to try to talk, you end up talking so much, I found out in the past, about what happened before you arrived, and you're always talking around that. So sometimes it's easier for coaches to go further out where you're not talking about those past blemishes. But I thought we stayed the course when we came here. We said we wanted to do that. We wanted to make sure that the area coaches knew that we were serious. And I think with the 2 bowl games, the commitment facilities, other things, the the job that our staff has done, our recruiting staff, personnel staff, whatever we're referring to, and a lot of people come and the people can come back here multiple times. We get a lot of compliments about the thoroughness, the genuineness, the transparency in which we operate. And though we have a lot to continue to improve on, I think those that are really looking for those things along with development and opportunity, they found that this is a good place to be and they can reach their goals right here at the University of Kansas.
And then a hyper-local guy you guys have wanted to get more athletic at linebacker. Josh Galbraith is maybe one of the most athletic players playing linebacker in the country. What does Josh bring to you guys?
Yeah, extremely athletic guy to keep another Lawrence High graduate, or soon-to-be graduate in town here is important to us. What a huge upside he has in athleticism and everything, and a guy that that we hope can come in here and make contributions for a long time. But Josh is, and the more we got around him, the more he opened up, and that he's got a really great personality. His parents been awesome, very humble about how he goes about it, but had a chance to catch part of one of his games this year, and he plays the game with passion and enthusiasm, and I think Jayhawk fans will be excited about watching him play.
Lance, one quarterback, and Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys offered right after the camp. What did you see from him in the camp and throughout watching him?
I think when you look at body type and other things about what we're recruiting and evaluating in our program, he fit that mold. Much like Jalen and Isaiah do for us, and Cole to an extent there. Davis one with probably the more height and length in there, but a great arm, mobility that we can do in the RPO game. He can run the quarterback. Again, a guy that willing and wanting to be developed more. Great attitude, leadership, and excited to have him here.
You talked about facilities. What was the overall picture you got from them? Just seeing everything, and then maybe even the dining area that they see.
Yeah, when the guys started to see, for some of this, the renderings, because a lot of these guys started their visits in the recruiting process out at Rock Chalk Park, or we're having meetings I'm in a temporary pseudo meeting room type office area, and kind of watch things slowly come together, and as locker room, weight room were done first, and that was eye-opening to have a nice. So then when everything else opened up, it was really neat to see their faces of where it's at, because most guys are visiting a lot of different schools across the country, at least regionally, and when they're able to see that we're building things and now have facilities that are on par or better than others, again, gives us a fighting chance.
Out of protocol. This is the first signing class of tight ends you brought in since Coach Lubit took over that position. Obviously, you work on these guys for years at a time, but how did that pair come together, and I guess what kind of influence did he have in determining that?
Obviously, Jack and Kevin were both recruited when Coach Grimes was here. That process started, but and again, anytime there's a change in position coach in the recruiting process, there's that pause of who's going to coach me, what's it going to be like, what's going to change. But Matt hit the ground running with that again and build relationships. Had a chance to visit with those guys. Again, the benefit, of course, with many of the local guys is that you can get them here more frequently. They can observe more practices. They can sit in meetings. They get a better understanding of fit. And Matt was able to do that. We feel blessed that I don't know if originally if we were were we going to take two right off the get. It all depended on the right guys, but we felt that Kevin and Jack were just too good athletes with so much upside on both sides, with especially that position. Here Jack is still playing. Kevin, we talked to him this morning. Played a basketball game already last night. Their season just got over. Got another one. when they get into a program with full year development stuff and their bodies really change, you're going to see two really good football players.
Last year you talked about early enrollees becoming a more popular thing, and here you've got one of the bigger early enrollee groups. How do those conversations kind of continue to progress with those guys, and what sort of benefits as you've had more of them?
Yeah.
Like, are the lessons you learned with those guys?
As that continues, Michael, I say this, and I guess I kind of still partially from a parent standpoint, maybe my experience in years of some of that, I still put this, some people are pushing it and getting, you got to get in here, you got to get in here, and I still believe it's a family decision. They know their son. They know where he's at in maturity and moving away from home and what he's going to be able to could he use 6 more months or whatever that would be. And so we kind of defer that way the best we can. But once they do say they're going to do it, we're excited about it. We like it. You see the growth. You get the extra time. January to May is a lot slower paced than the season of every day having to do something per se of practice and other things, where spring ball, we don't practice every day in a row, all those things, the weight room activity and time that they can get into that, the weight training program, but really working technique and other things, the nutritional benefit. We've talked about certain guys, Jalen, Todd, and others that made huge gains in a short period of time, all of the benefits. So again, it's something that'll continue to happen. I'm sure in today's rev share and other things, there's other benefits of early enrolling that we can't be naive to, but as soon as we get them here and get them part of the program, as we said, some of these guys, it gives them a better chance to play right away next fall.
We saw you guys do different things with the defensive ends this past year. How do you feel like Drayden and Hunter fit kind of the versatility that you guys are asking those guys to have?
Again, you need guys that can be multifaceted, that can sometimes drop into coverage, and not asking a ton out of them that way. But again, be physical at the point of attack, do different things, be pass rushers. They all want to try to do everything. So it's kind of a thing to get them excited about, that they get a chance to be more of an outside linebacker type player sometimes. And again, we're going to need, as many of those type of bodies. Nice thing is, we feel both those guys have nice length and height that can help us out.
4 quarterbacks now going into next year with the 3 guys returning and Jalen. How do you feel about that room, and do you feel like transfer quarterback is something you'll look at, or how do you feel about that room going in?
We feel good about the room. It's something, again, we think the guys that have played a little bit, that between Cole and Isaiah have shown flashes of opportunity in their opportunities to be successful and move our football team. I think what we do offensively, philosophically, fits those guys. We're excited about David McComb and what he brings to this program, and as he continues to develop. So, if that's answering it, we're happy with the room, and again, it's between development of what's here, and also, as we know, there'll be additions that arrive on campus as we continue to put this roster together here second semester.
Tate Maggie's able to find his way onto the field as a freshman. Is there anyone in this group, whatever role that might be, you see similar sort of?
Yeah, I try not to get into that prediction game too much, Jordan's. That just on Tate, I thought did an excellent job as far as handling the role of punt returner, and not an easy task, let alone for a true freshman, but didn't get rattled. He's got great awareness and ball skills. We sure hope there's going to be somebody that's going to do that, and who that is at this moment, there's nobody's targeted, but as we said, many of these early enrollees will get plenty of opportunities this spring to show what they can do.
Lance, when you kind of evaluate the next quarterback of Kansas, what are you looking at in the guys you have already, and what are you hoping they can bring to the table that maybe Jalen didn't do, or as well, or whatever?
you know, what Jalen didn't do well. I think Jalen did a lot of good things for this program. I think, unfortunately, it didn't play out in game 12 the way we wanted to. So I think if you're looking at some of those things, obviously we got to be great securing the football. Okay, we weren't as a coaching staff and as an offense as productive in the red zone as we need to be. So you've heard me say this before, as you know, we need to be, you know, truly at our best when our best is needed, and that's when it comes down to conversions and scoring touchdowns and executing in a way that needs us to be there. That's not that, as we know, for some of the plays that maybe didn't go Jalen's way, we can think of some pretty exciting ones that he made along the way as well. So not to be overly comparative in that regard, but I'm looking, you know, this staff is for the quarterback that will win this job, that is going to have great command of the offense and understand what we're trying to do, make great decisions, be able to make the throws that are needed within this offense, which is really all throws. We've got to be able to get the ball down the field. We've got to be great in the play action game. We've got to have great decision making in the RPO game. We've got to be able to, you know, but these guys have running abilities, and now everybody's going to think with Isaiah or Cole that we're just going to run the heck out of the quarterback and let them take 30 shots a game, and that's not really, that's not what we're made out to be or want to be. But we got to be able to run when we need to, especially against certain looks. But again, to be somebody that can create plays and be able to, you know, sometimes when you use the word manage the game, it's looked at as negatively, but we have to manage the game in this offense in a way that gives us the best chance to win football games.
It kind of go into that a little bit. How do you find that balance of, with whoever the next quarterback is, of using the run game in the run game versus using the pass game?
Well, I think, you know, last week's game was a big sign of that. I think there were some games we went into thinking that the quarterback was going to have to be the extra runner because of certain looks and that, and we found out that when we did, you know, between certain looks and formations, we were able to have a good solid run game with the backfield that was on the field, and it continued to do that. So we have to have you know, I believe we need to have a threat of a runner at the quarterback position. Now, what does that entail and how many times a game? That's a case-by-case type situation. But when we have threat of option or the quarterback being a running threat, as well as being able to execute a play action game and take some vertical shots, then we become a difficult offense to defend.
Lance, when you look at the portal coming in January, first day of class, between when the portal opens, get kids on campus, I mean, this is going to be like a flurry. What's your thoughts on that?
Flurry, I was thinking of some other words, to be honest, probably not as nice. It's going to move fast, and there's a lot of things, and obviously there's so much to it behind the scenes that goes into this, between when guys are going in, getting them evaluated, trying to get them here to visit, trying to get a decision, get them to agree to all the other things they need to agree to come here, get them admitted into school, get them enrolled, get them housing, get all that going, and then it's going to take a village, that's for sure. But we're no different than anybody else. So it's all what we're living into right now, and there'll always be conversations about when this window should be, what it should be like, but this is what we've agreed upon. And the one thing, once we do get this settled, you know, we'll know who our football team is, you know, earlier than we have in a long time.
With Caden Snyder, he's a guy that you guys got on really early, started recruiting. I think he was 230 pounds at one point when you guys were recruiting. He played this year around 300. What have you seen from him, you know, from a growth standpoint, in addition to, you know, just him growing?
Well, a guy, like you said, who's matured faster than what we anticipated to get to that body size that we need, but he's extremely athletic, and you see him and had a chance to to go to one of his basketball practices once and to watch him fire up some threes and run the court, do those things, and what you'd love to see in offensive linemen that are athletic to do those things. And he's got a passion for the game. What's also nice is some of these guys, now that we say we were able to get a lot of these guys here early, is to watch their personal maturity and having conversations and going through it, which is really going to help them before they get on campus. I think some of the rules that have allowed us to have more of those things, getting guys here earlier, has allowed those relationships, conversations, and answering different things to make the student athlete more comfortable before they get here has been crucial. But there's a guy who won a state championship and everything, but we're so excited to have him because he's a really, really good football player.
And then 3 wide receivers in this class, 2 of them local, and Nate Sims and Tyron Parker, and then Corbin Glasgow from Dallas area. What do you like from that group? Because it seems like you got 3 different types of guys in that group as well.
Yeah, Corbin, go from the furthest away is a guy with great speed, and had the track speed as we continue to try to become a faster team. I think Nate's kind of in between there. He still has solid track times. Unfortunately, got hurt and didn't get to finish his senior year. Tyron's got some of that length and big play ability about him. Confident receiver that that should be able to make impact here. We like all 3, and again, we're always trying to find all the different body types and things that fit our offense the best we can.
At running back with Corey,
Yeah.
what did you guys like about him? What were some of the traits that you saw from him in the gym?
Speed, power, he shows flashes that make you miss. He's got good balance. Outstanding kid and family that we felt fit our culture the way we wanted, but a very talented guy that to get him out of the state of Michigan and things like that was big. Terry Samuel knew the family from his time at Michigan State and really was instrumental in that, and Coach Wallace did a great job with him as well.
Just a few minutes ago, K-State announced that Coach Kleinman was retiring. I was just wondering your initial thoughts on that and his career and the prospect of having a new head coach in the States.
Yeah, that picked up, speed, I guess, last night, and we kept going. First of all, congratulate Chris on a great career and what he's done. I know sometimes, just especially being at rival schools, people don't understand sometimes relationship part of that and competitiveness, but yet respect. Chris did call me this morning and to tell me he was doing that, and wished him and his wife Rhonda the best in retirement. And it's too bad. It's too bad because I think Chris has a lot of good football yet ahead of him, but when you feel like it's time and the drain it takes on you personally, he just felt it was time. I'm not sure if they've named a coach yet or not. We got a lot of things. I'm sure they're gonna have a lot of great candidates, anytime good people get out of this profession, it's not good, but understandably so.
Anything else for Coach Leipold? All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
A lot of excitement for the 2026 Kansas football class, and maybe we'll see 1 or 2 of those guys on the field 2026, September 5th against Long Island, which is your favorite opponent and your favorite drink.
Yes.
I think.
Yes, my favorite drink.
The Sharks.
Don't they play Middle Tennessee State
So
before that? Is that
no, they play Long Island on the 5th.
Oh, that's right, because they had to reschedule them
as it is right now.
That's right.
Well, as it is right now, KU plays both Middle Tennessee State in Lawrence and Arizona State in London on the same day.
On the same day, that's right.
So that's going to be quite the travel day for them. And I'd imagine they need to do some stretches on the airplane if that's going to happen.
You'd think.
They got to work through that a little bit. Of course, the exciting, what is it called? The Iron Jack Classic, right?
The Union Jack Classic.
Union Jack. I was so close.
Union Jack
Jack Classic across the pond, September 19th.
The Union
Big 12
Jack
opener.
Classic, even though it's the first one.
Yeah, there you go, right? It's going to be a classic soon enough. KU Arizona State opens Big 12 play on September 19th, but season opener, as the schedule is right now, is September 5th against Long Island. There could be a week 0 game. We'll have to wait and see. Daniel Hishaw, we're going to hear from one last time after this on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. 10 2025 Kansas football players were recognized in the postseason, named to honorable mention teams or otherwise. We'll have that for you after we hear from Daniel Hishaw, one of the guys who was recognized. What a great performance he had in his finale. 100 yards from both Hishaw and Leishon Williams, something that you envisioned in the offseason you wish could have happened a little bit more often, but for one reason or another, weren't able to put it together. Kansas had the recipe to beat Utah. It just didn't happen despite Hishaw, one of the more fun guys we've seen run the football here at KU, and a classy guy. He spoke to the media following the tough loss last week.
I'm pretty sad about just my last time being a Jayhawk, not even just a loss. I love this place, man. I really, really do love this place. But just, trying to stay happy too. Cause like, we had a good time here, had a good life here, and everything got to come to an end. We came to end on a loss, but also I feel like our team fought so hard. Like, that's one of the proudest things for me, because we could have easily went out there and laid down. We could have easily went out there and just been like, F it. They got to pick. Or, we're down by 10, and it was never like that. It was never that feeling. And, I'm super proud of my team, man. I feel like that's the one I'm most happiest about right now. It's just like, we didn't go out there and lay down. We didn't go out there and be like, we only going to get a 6 win or anything like that, So I appreciate all my teammates for that, man.
With that in mind, how hard is it to stand in that locker room and look around at guys and do the hugs and handshakes and all that stuff? I mean,
that's one of the hardest things, I just try to keep a smile. Right. I laugh a lot during serious situations. So, just like try to keep a smile and everything and just let everybody know we good. Everybody gonna be good. Everybody got a life after this. Have fun after this.
You said earlier in the week that what you watched on that K-State film was how their guys didn't go down.
Yeah.
You didn't go down today. You had the run that set you guys up, whatever, first and goal, right before, I think, Jalen's first pick.
Yeah.
I wonder from you, within you, like that run, I know you know which one I'm talking about. How proud are you of that, what you put on film? Well,
actually, my teammates challenged me. It's because right before that run, they was like, you don't need to fucking go down. And I was they was like, you don't need to go down. And I was like, you know what, watch this next play. And so that's exactly what happened. And so, like, I'm not saying that wouldn't happen, but them just pressing me and pushing that gas towards me and be like, what are you doing? Like, we need you, So, yeah.
Who gets credit for that, for telling you that?
Levi, Vince, our O-line, every single
Everybody said it? Okay.
Yeah, but Levi was the first one to start it off. Levi, he got up in my face, grabbed my helmet, so, yeah.
You live for that, right?
Yeah, man, I love when people do that. I never get mad when somebody tell me I need to be better.
Lance had mentioned on Monday that you stuck with KU and they stuck with you. What are you going to remember about your career here?
Like I said earlier, like, my biggest thing is just going to be, like, the smiles in the locker room, just having fun. Like, football, college football especially, I feel like it could be some of the hardest times for a young man, whatever, because it's a lot of up and downs and everything, but when everybody can just be happy together, even though somebody might be playing over another person, but when somebody has love for that person playing over them and just be able to have fun, joke around, it's like you don't know who's the starter in that locker room because everybody's just feeling the same. That's what I'm going to remember the most.
Hey Daniel, with 2 back-to-back 5-win seasons, just coming up 1 win short of a bowl, is it tough?
Oh man, it's super tough. Nobody wants to come up short of a bowl game. We want to win more than 6 games, so it's always tough, but I'm just proud that we did what we did this year with the team we had, with the new program we had and all that. I mean, that's a new team, new guys coming in, man, especially with our culture. Our culture is a lot different than many other teams with, like, all the responsibilities we got. And a lot of dudes could have just been like, I'm not doing that. And they all bought in. And I appreciate them. I thank them for that.
You and LaShawn are gone, so tell us about the running back room coming back.
They got Johnny Thompson, Harry Stewart, John Kelly, Micah Johnson, Justin Thurman. Y'all gonna see. I don't even want to like give away too much because the way they are, like Harry and all them guys, bro, like they're so different in how they run, but all of them is super aggressive. So y'all gonna see. This is gonna be y'all got plenty of special running backs coming throughout the years. I promise about that.
When you think about the future, you won't be around. You'll be like Devin was this year, tweeting about it and stuff. When you look at Coach Leipold and where he can take this program, what do you see?
I just see success. I always see success in Coach Leipold and our program. I never not, especially once he got here, I never not thought we weren't going to be successful in the season, you know, and I still don't believe that even for the next years on. It's just, I think it just depends on how the players want to attack every day and making sure the players come with the right mindset every day. If they do that, they're going to be successful, for sure.
What do you think it's going to take for those guys that are back to make sure that that success does happen?
Stay together, keep doing the right thing, being consistent on whatever you have to do daily. Don't just do it for spring ball and then stop doing it in the summer. Do it for the first week of fall camp and then stop doing it the last 3 weeks. You got to do that every day. Whatever you do to get yourself ready, mentally prepared, whatever you do to make yourself better, you got to do that every day. Not just a little bit at a time for a few weeks and then stop. You got to do that every day, and I promise you'll be good.
You and Jalen went through this journey kind of together here in college. Just what are you going to remember about him and playing with him?
JD, it's a lot I'm going to remember about JD. Field-wise, just since we got here, they called him electric, and that's exactly what JD is. And to this day, I believe he's one of the best QBs in college football. And just like the throws, the runs, the reads he would make is just like insane. They're incredible. I ain't really seen too many people do things that Jalen Daniels have done. So I remember a lot of that on the field and just off the field, just how fun of a guy JD is. You know, he always got like this spark to him, this kind of like glow, you know. So I just hope he never loses that, which I'm pretty sure he won't. But, you know, just make sure he just keeps that, man. I'm always remember that.
You the game ball today? What does that mean to you?
The game ball?
Yeah.
It means a lot, you know. I mean, right now, it probably would mean more to me in like 10 years, to be honest. But it does mean a lot to me right now, just knowing like finally made it, got the name on the ball, senior night, you know, now it's on to the next level. But, you know, kind of just the season is sinking in for me right now. I'm not even thinking about the game all too much.
Well, I mean, what's next? Obviously, you want to go on, but I mean, talking like tomorrow, what's next for you?
Oh, tomorrow?
Or just like the coming weeks, I guess.
Oh, in the coming weeks, I'm going for sure, like, you know, relaxing my mind, whatever. Spend some time with some family, because I ain't been home. Like, this is the first time all my family been to a game probably in a long, long time. So spend some time with them, probably go home for a little bit, do some stuff with my trainer, you know, not just sit on my butt all day. But, you know, like, just kind of relax, man, and just enjoy my time not being in the season, you know, being another person outside of football.
That's Daniel Hishaw. I wanted to make sure that we got that in post-game. KU lost to Utah. So it happened a little while ago, but just a great guy, good personality. Talked with David Lawrence as well, the Crimson and Blue show before the game on Friday, about how he might just go away for a while, off the grid a little bit, and seems to have a good head on his shoulders. And as you were saying to me, Dan, gives really thoughtful answers.
Yeah, a very thoughtful guy, right? And every time we talked to Daniel Hishaw, it was always a treat. And he gave thoughtful answers. He wore his heart on his sleeve, and you love to see that. Just a good personality from him. You can see the emotion, especially after such a tough loss after your college career is over.
2025 KU football had 10 players earn all Big 12 recognition, including Daniel Hishaw. Senior Emmanuel Henderson was first team as a kick returner and third team as a wide receiver, and punter Finn Lappin also earned third team honors. Plus, Dan, there were 9 honorable mention designations, including Hishaw.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Bryce Foster was a all Big 12 honorable mention, as well as Bengali Kamara, Leroy Harris, Le'Shawn Williams, Enrique Cruz Jr., Kobe Baines, Daniel Hishaw, like you said, Bowden Gruen and Emmanuel Henderson was honorable mention for offensive newcomer of the year in the Big 12. So really exciting stuff. Obviously didn't finish the way you wanted to, and a lot of these guys we're not going to be seeing anymore. But there are a lot of guys who could potentially come back. Like Leroy Harris is going to be definitely a fun one to keep your eye on. So it just sucks the way that the season ended, but still a lot of good things to come out of this.
BYU and Texas Tech are, of course, going to do battle in the Big 12 championship game. But tonight, in terms of here on campus for KU, it's Kansas Volleyball. They take on High Point right around 6:30 at Horse Family Volleyball Arena. KU number 16 overall, and they're a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. Winner of that gets Miami and Tulsa. We're going to talk about that after this on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com, and ESPN Kansas City. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright with you. Thanks for tuning in here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Hey, want to talk to all the men listening right now. How are you feeling? Are you feeling good when you get out of bed in the morning? Do you have the energy to get to work, to go to the gym, to take care of your family? All of that is absolutely important. If the answer is no, well, check out Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. They do great work over there in West Lawrence. Whether you're tired all the time, you got a lack of energy or motivation, lack of sex drive, 50% of men by the time they turn 40 lose testosterone. So make sure that you're checking out Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Normal as we age to have low T and to have these sorts of things happen, and they can help you out over there. Mitch Bales and everybody, they do great work. We really appreciate their partnership. It's an opportunity for you to feel better, for you to feel like you're functioning as you were at a younger age. Happens to all of us as we get older. And if you're chasing peak performance, you're trying to reignite intimacy, any of those things, they've got the answers at Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. It's a full-fledged medical clinic where they've got licensed practitioners. They can help you, and it's a man cave setting as well. Really cool. They've got TVs all around, similar to our setup here at the Kansas Nation Studios on 9th and Massachusetts Street. So check them out. Tell Mitch the guys at Rock Chalk Sports sent you, and we're excited to continue to promote them and that partnership because they've done a lot of great things for a lot of guys in the Lawrence community and will continue to do so.
Yeah, 100%. Don't be afraid to get yourself checked out, right? I mean, obviously, some guys are a little nervous and they want to push it off to the side. I'm telling you, don't push it off. Go check out Game Day Men's Health. They do a great job of making you feel comfortable and making sure that you're the healthiest that you've ever been.
Let's talk a little KU volleyball here to close out the show. That's the big one tonight match, KU and High Point, and some KU volleyball players as well, recognized deservedly so with some postseason honors.
Yeah, right. The all Big 12 teams have officially come out. Reese Patak, she was selected as the all Big 12 first team, her second straight in a row. She surpassed 300 kills. Meanwhile, freshman Jovana Zelenovic on the opposite side of the ball, or on the opposite side of the court, she had an outstanding breakout season this year. She had a team high 355 kills. She was on the first team as well as the all rookie team for Big 12, all Big 12, league's only unanimous rookie selection too. So really, I mean, a really outstanding season. Coming in as a freshman now, she is 21 years old, but she's still only a freshman in the eyes of the NCAA, having 355 kills, only unanimous rookie selection. Really impressive stuff out of Jovana Zelenovic. Also on the second team, a lot of names that you'll recognize. Katie Dalton, she had 710 assists this year. Absolutely outstanding. She kind of came out of nowhere, right? You didn't really hear her name until this year where she came in and was excellent, was an excellent setter. Outside hitter Ryan Swanson, she was also named to the second team. She had 3.10 kills per set. Libero Ryan White, she had 475 digs. Outside hitter Grace Nelson with 280 kills and 282 digs. Really kind of playing both sides of it there. And then freshman middle Aurora Popich, she also earned all rookie team honors with 107 blocks. So really impressive stuff. The Kansas squad has girls all over the court who are really, really good, and they're going to be showcased tonight against High Point out of Horsh.
KU 22-10 this season. We know they have an absolute loaded schedule throughout this year. They take on High Point, who's 18-9, and then the winner will take on the winner of Tulsa, 25-6, and Miami. They're the 5 seed right now in this regional. They are 26-5, are the Hurricanes. We mentioned this with Greenstein yesterday, but the 1 seed in KU's region happens to be Nebraska, who's 30-0. The 1 seed is always going to be strong, right? But when you look, Nebraska, they're just kind of a different beast. Pitt is a 1 seed. They're the 4th 1 seed, so they're at the bottom portion of this bracket. 26-4 rather is the record for the Pitt Panthers. On the other side, Texas, they're 23-3. They're one of the 1 seeds, and Kentucky, a name that you don't see too often in terms of volleyball, they are the other 1 seed. And of course, the Final Four played at T-Mobile Center in Kansas City.
Yeah, that's right.
Really cool. Kansas City's always been a hot spot for volleyball, and maybe, just maybe, our Jayhawks can find a way to roll off 4 straight matches, including what many would consider to be a major upset, beating a previously unbeaten Nebraska team, and go to Kansas City. That would be a blast. The national championship game is December 21st. Holiday volleyball, 3:30 in Kansas City. But this High Point team, not going to be easy, not going to be overlooked by Matt Ulmer and company, Dan, for the right to go on and face either Miami or Tulsa tomorrow. What do you see at a High Point, and what's Kansas going to have to do to pick up a win?
Yeah, I mean, look, they had a lot of kills on the year. They have some tall girls who can really, score. But at the same time, I think Kansas will really dominate them in terms of height, in terms of blocking, right? So expect Kansas defense to be able to step up in this as well. High Point, like we said before earlier on in the week, they've won 3 straight Big South championships. This is 3 straight times in a row. Now, Kansas has hosted 3 straight tournaments in a row. So this isn't, this is an uncharted territory for Kansas as well, but you shouldn't look at High Point as just a team that you can look past and be like, all right, well, let's get ready for Miami. No, High Point is still a very, very good squad. It's in Horse. That's really going to help. But Kansas is really going to need to score points and get those blocks, because that's going to be huge. High Point, they're really offensively minded. They can score on you. They can go on runs. They have a couple of really solid girls on the offensive side of the ball in terms of their outside hitters. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, I really like Kansas in this, but again, this isn't going to be just some kind of cupcake.
High Point is a team that, like you said, 3rd straight appearance in the NCAA tournament. They faced BYU. They got swept by BYU back on August 30th. That's the lone team from the Big 12 that the Panthers faced. Kansas, of course, also lost to BYU recently, and they also got swept by Utah, a team who's not in the NCAA tournament. It's going to be a tough challenge for sure, but if Kansas is able to get by, then they'll set up a showdown. Tomorrow, we're going to break that down for you, let you know how it went, and hopefully be previewing a round of 32 match for the Kansas women's volleyball team. But we're also going to have a deep dive on the border war, KU Mizzou on the basketball court, that one at T-Mobile, noon on Sunday. Coverage will start at 10:30 with the Crimson and Blue Show on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We got to get them back. They got us in football. They got us last year in basketball. It's time to knock off the Tigers and do so in a big way. Hopefully Darren Peterson is back. But we'll have a special show tomorrow to preview that. For Elijah Schmidt running the operations and Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman saying thanks for joining us on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, and KansasNation.com.